Right, welcome, Zach, to the Work and Wellbeings podcast, live at the Health and Wellbeing at Work Conference 2025. So lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Who are you? Introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Zak Marks, co-founder of Kitt Medical, and I have severe allergies to nuts, which is why I do what I do.
Ace, and what do you do?
So our anaphylaxis kits, which was originally a university project of mine, are essentially a defibrillator, but for allergies. So it's severe emergency allergic reaction treatment kits that go in schools and workplaces alongside training. So they can be used to save lives in emergencies and also just generally create awareness for allergy.
Got you. So I've got a tiny bit of personal experience here. Not personal experience, but my brother-in-law has a severe nut allergy. I mean, he's allergic to everything. He's literally allergic to wheat, gluten, anything you can mention he's allergic to, but nuts are the killer, literally.
Yeah.
That he has to avoid. So yeah, I've known him for 25 years now, and it's really interesting the lack of empathy people have for that.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a huge amount of, I think generally just through Instagram and through press we get and whatnot, like community building, that is a major part of our business, because we're essentially selling a product that hopefully is never used. The majority of what we do is the awareness, the stigma battling, and a lot of what I talk about is my own personal experiences, which relates to your brothers, which relates to thousands of people we've seen today at the conference where they've got allergies and they either feel embarrassed so they don't talk about it, or I was literally speaking to someone yesterday at this conference who they said a member of their staff, they didn't know they had allergies. They had an anaphylactic reaction, a severe allergic reaction. They hid in the bathroom, called an ambulance.
Right.
No one else in the office knew.
Right.
And then the ambulance turns up and this guy literally runs into the ambulance without telling anyone because he's so embarrassed by an allergic reaction, which obviously leads to facial swelling and they're struggling to breathe. So it doesn't look nice.
Yeah.
But that should be the last thing someone is thinking about when they're having anaphylaxis. It should be, I need help. Everyone should know about this. Been speaking to some major organizations today that say even they didn't know their staff had allergies. And it really speaks to the point that we don't just want emergency medicine to be hidden away in a cabinet. We want it to be in a bright orange kit on the wall so it's constantly talked about, so people feel seen and heard. It's a massive part of the mission.
Yeah, I think a big thing that he suffers with is he doesn't want to make a fuss. I've been to many restaurants with him, and he'll kind of ask the question about whether it's got nuts in it, but he doesn't want to make a fuss about it, And I'm like, you could die if this has nuts in. And he's had a couple of bad reactions in restaurants before.
Really?
Yeah. When he was younger, in fairness, I don't think for a little while now, touch wood, but
well, that's a weird thing in itself. So I'm 27. I was diagnosed with severe allergies at 5 years old. I had, I think, some minor reactions around 7 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old. It's been a good 10 years since I've had a reaction. So I'm sort of in this place where I almost don't know if I still have allergies. It's a weird position where you have to reinforce your own health and safety and well-being and say it everywhere you go, and almost begin to doubt whether you do need to start saying it or can stop saying it. But no, there's also been an amazing shift in hospitality and generally, I think, in the world where people are beginning to ask you the question rather than you having to bring it up. And that is phenomenal. But I went to a restaurant recently in the last few months, and it sort of went the reverse direction where the waiter came over and he said, "No one's got allergies here, I presume." And it's sort of like, okay, you brought it up first, but you're entering with a "please don't have allergies because it's inconvenient for me" kind of vibe, which is not what you want. You want to feel encouraged, safe, and, able to be cared for, basically.
Yeah, the line of responsibility is interesting as well. So I remember I went to a restaurant with him once and said, they did ask, in fairness to them, they said, has anyone got any allergies? He said, yep, I've got a severe nut allergy. And he then came back 5 minutes later with a binder full of all the ingredients that were in all their things. And it's like, that's useful. Thank you for that. But I kid you not, like, it was all the individual ingredients of all the and you're almost like, what? So you're just fully putting the responsibility onto me now to be able to, and if I make a mistake and don't, not accidentally order something that's got nuts in it, you can say, well, we gave you the binder. It's like, I was a bit shocked by that. Plus, half the things in the binder weren't on the menu. So
Christ.
yeah.
I mean, if you go to any sort of main pub chain, they'll give you the iPad and say, please sign away your life, basically.
Yeah.
But it's a weird one you bring that up because, like, for me, I love seeing the ingredients.
Yeah.
I'm like a very health conscious person. And number one, it's actually terrifying when you do get handed the ingredients list and it's like 100 items long. So it helps you make more conscious health choices. But I think in general, I actually don't trust other people. Like, I want to see what's in my food.
Fair enough.
And it definitely differs person to person. I'm sure there are people out there that, or to be honest, I think most people with allergies don't actually really do what they should be doing and they don't talk about it. But with me, my favorite thing to do is know exactly what I'm eating.
Yeah.
Like, it just gives me total reassurance. And hell, if there's something super bizarre in there that I don't want to be eating, that I'm not allergic to, at least I've identified that as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely better than. Sorry, I'm just giving you random stories of.
No.
But
I love this.
Last one, I promise. So I've got a friend who's celiac. She's, quite severely celiac, if that's the word. She cannot eat gluten, right?
Yeah. To the degree where it's like you can't put a normal slice of bread or something in a toaster.
I believe so. Yeah.
And whatnot.
So we got a full English breakfast one morning, and she asked about the sausages, I think, whether they were gluten free, and went back to the kitchen, came back, spoke to the chef, and he said the chef says he thinks they're okay, and she was like, "This isn't a lifestyle choice.
Yeah.
This isn't I'm doing this to be fussy or to be a pain. Like, I literally, if I eat some gluten, it's game over."
And that is what the allergy community echoes like constantly. Like, this is not a choice. It is a requirement. Literally, like, I have to do this. I have to have this. And like circling back to the kit, that's why we want to, I guess, in a way, take the burden off the individual and more put it on the school or the qualified business, whether that's a theme park or a hotel or a restaurant, that's saying, okay, we are really caring for you. Like, not only do we have the ingredients and the training, but we have the pens just in case, and hopefully they never have to use it, but they're there if they need.
Yeah, I've got you. Yeah. So this link to the workplace then, because obviously you're at a workplace convention today. So where's that come from, and is that a new thing that you're doing, or have you been doing that?
So we launched this, in university when I came up with this idea, it was, I have to carry my adrenaline pens all the time, but they expire, every year or every 6 months. They're pretty bulky. They're easy to forget.
Yeah.
I need somewhere where the pens can go, where they're monitored and tracked and replaced. And that's where this idea of like a defibrillator, but for allergies, came into play, where it was, okay, where's other emergency equipment stored and purchased? Looking into the legislation, schools can purchase adrenaline pens, which are EpiPens, Jex pens, like the brands. Yeah. And businesses with an occupational health scheme can purchase them. Okay. So we started in schools. That was like 2.5 years ago now. Yeah. We now have kits in over 600 schools across the UK. Yeah. And then about 6 or 7 months ago, we started working with businesses that are qualified with an occupational health scheme. And that first business was Alton Towers Resort. So kicked off to a great start. Yeah.
And was that for the staff, or was that for the...
Yeah, so they purchase it for the staff.
Yeah.
In an emergency, it can be used, by the staff on someone else if needed, but it is mainly purchased for the staff through occupational health. We train all the staff, make sure everyone knows how to use it, and hopefully they just never have to in the first place. But for us, we're now working with about 100 different organizations, from manufacturing facilities to theme parks to restaurants to office spaces. And I think when we started this, it was the obvious ones of restaurants and planes that everyone talks about. We're barely in any restaurants, and we're not in planes yet. We've had 25 brick and tile manufacturing plants under the Wienerberger company purchase kits for their staff. So we've seen it, and the reason we're here is we've seen it fit into the health and well-being, health and safety, occupational health policy of really forward-thinking companies, so much more than we've seen a Pret or a Costa or a Byron who have had allergy incidents actually want to take it up. And I think that's quite telling.
Yeah, that is telling. Yeah. No, I'm quite an advocate or a supporter of these organizations, particularly in health and safety conscious environments, who seem to take this stuff seriously, but also around mental health as well. And I'm seeing a real shift towards construction firms, manufacturing organizations who are doing a lot around mental health provision, which is great, because they get it when it comes to health and well-being. They get the importance of people's health, full stop, but then they also see the link to performance and productivity and all that sort of stuff. I know this is a bit more Yeah, it's not necessarily a productivity booster.
No, but it is it's an overall picture of the fact that your work is your life.
Yes.
Like, you spend more time in your office than you will anywhere else, really.
Yeah.
And I think if they're not caring for your health and well-being in all facets, from things like allergy to diet to mental health to inclusion and diversity, then I don't know, where is it fitting into your life?
Yeah.
Really, this is the starting point. And I don't know, being here today is incredibly exciting to see how much there is that workplaces are looking into. There's also like an overwhelming amount that they have to take on board. So hopefully we can make allergy just part of that picture.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I can't believe they're not on planes. It's mad that. Do they have adrenaline pens on
So
planes?
it's a really interesting scenario on planes.
Right.
There's like, from the conversations we've had, some airlines do, some airlines don't, but rarely it's actually an adrenaline pen. Sometimes it's a syringe that they have to draw up, and therefore they need a doctor on board to do that. And so it's really a sort of case-by-case scenario. Some of them say they do have adrenaline pens, but how they're actually purchased and maintained is questionable.
Yeah.
And then you never really want to get to the point of using an adrenaline pen on the plane. I think that's the real thing. Like, then you need an emergency landing, then you need all this stuff. So when we do get to putting kits on planes, there's going to have to be a much greater policy that I think we fit to that, to make sure, the training, the food is provided so well. Because I've been on planes and just not even touch the food because they just cannot guarantee me the ingredients. Again, harking back to what we're talking about. So as someone living with an allergy, it's not just I want to sell my product, it's I really need to fix the problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And the lack of empathy as well. We've all been on a plane where they say I've been with my brother-in-law, someone on board's got a nut allergy, and everyone's like, like it's
literally, and
like they're hard done by.
we were literally on Dragon's Den like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, I need to ask you about that.
Yeah. And now we've got Stephen Bartlett and Deborah Meaden, and Stephen has done a lot with planes and airlines, and I think generally health and well-being. But that sort of image of pushing allergy into the forefront of media, and hopefully getting them to support it across the businesses that they work with. Yeah, it should be part of the main conversation.
Yeah. I can't believe I'm even asking this question. I really don't want to ask this question because I think I know where I stand on it. But allergies and intolerances, do you think there is a trend whereby... So my wife is a primary school teacher.
Okay.
And lots of kids have got what they call allergies, probably intolerances, probably just don't want to eat something. Do you think... I can't even believe I'm asking. I feel wrong asking this question. Do you think there's a risk in terms of, talking more about allergy, that it makes more people think they have an allergy when they don't have an allergy?
It's like the labeling problem nowadays with ADHD and everything, isn't it? It's if you're given an opportunity to fit into a box somewhere and you feel like you want to be seen to some degree, then that can be dangerous. But at the same time, it allows more people with those actual conditions and issues to be seen. It's an interesting one for me specifically because I'm allergic to nuts, and somewhere along the line, I'm still allergic to legumes, but it whittles down into a intolerance. Whereas the difference between an IgE reaction and a non-IgE reaction with allergies, and it's all scientific, and I won't get into it because I don't fully understand it myself. But what I do know is that some foods can kill me, cause my airways to close up.
Yeah.
Some foods can cause me to have a really bad stomach. And I guess at the end of the day, what you want to be doing is just saying, I can't really eat any of this. I need to know what I can eat, and I need to know the ingredients in the food, regardless of where you label it and how you label it and what you label it. You just know what you can and can't eat.
Yeah, absolutely. I just worry sometimes. Again, I'm thinking about it from my brother's perspective that, I can't believe I'm saying this phrase. I shouldn't even say it. Stop saying it. Like everyone's got an allergy these days, I've heard people say that.
Yeah.
I feel differently because I've got lived experience. I live with, I know someone very close to me who, but the risk is that when he says he's got an allergy, people are like, all right, yeah, whatever. And it's like, no, he's really got an allergy.
Well, I had a go at my sister a couple of years ago because she doesn't eat cheese.
Right.
And she used to say at restaurants, I'm allergic to cheese,
Right.
just because it was easier for her, for the restaurant to take it seriously.
Yeah.
And then for hospitality, that makes life a lot more inconvenient and difficult because with an allergy, they're having to take in all these procedures around cross-contamination, around contact, around surfaces and cleansing. And sometimes I'll go somewhere with great training and they will go on an entirely different prep station just to make my food. Whereas if you just don't like the food, they just won't put that in your food. It's, so it's creating way more work than you need to. And then that actually leads to the people with the allergies getting worse off treatment because you ended up with overworked and underpaid hospitality staff.
So I guess the whole thing is just increasing education around the whole thing.
Yeah,
right?
and otherwise it's sort of a negative feedback loop where the whole thing's making it worse.
Yeah. Anyway, let me stop going down that avenue because I feel wrong even doing it.
But but it is interesting because like we know allergy is on the increase. We know that adrenaline pen prescription rates are skyrocketing.
Wow.
People just aren't carrying them.
Why is that?
Why are they going up?
Yeah.
There's no actual known reason.
Yeah.
Hypothesis is all about the hygiene, microbiome,
Right.
everything from pesticides to climate change, and pretty much anything under the sun that's changing in our world right now. We're just harking back to, okay, well maybe that's giving us more allergies, but there is no one that actually says this is the exact reason why, and it's proven.
Yeah. So we've got 2 kids, and obviously, my wife's brother's got a severe nut allergy, so we were careful with the kids when they were born. But I was also keen because I'd read somewhere or other to give them exposure to some nuts early, because I'd read somewhere that if you don't, then there's a potential that it could develop. Whether or not that's true, I don't know.
There was I don't know the exact details, but there was the LEAP study or LEAP trial where I think they found, like in Israel, where the kids are fed Bamba, which are like peanut crisps, they have a much lower chance of actually developing a peanut allergy. So then there was some misinformation that was given out before that where they said, let's not give people peanuts. Let's make sure pregnant women and babies are not fed nuts. And the rates of allergy of nuts rapidly increased.
It's interesting.
So there is a direct correlation between exposure and, increase in allergy. But no, there is a massive increase in general that we're seeing in children. And so that's why it's such a talking point in schools. I think there's like a handful of kids in every single class on average that will have an allergy. And many of those won't know they have an allergy until their first reaction, which is obviously incredibly terrifying. In relation to sort of the workforce and staff and health and well-being in general, our kits, just, from our personal data set, they've been used 11 times in the last 2.5 years to save lives. And good 4 or 5 of those reactions were people in their middle age that didn't know they had any allergies before that first reaction. So we often hear, oh, people with allergies carry their own pens. It's the biggest load of crap, because most people with allergies don't carry their pens.
Because they don't know.
And then other people develop new allergies. So you're simply not covering the basis with that.
Yeah, absolutely. That must be incredibly rewarding in a sense, saving lives like that. There was a big stream yesterday about this idea of evidence-based practice and how we need to make sure that on the whole we are not doing harm with well-being provision, and that we're trying to do good and all the rest of it. And you generally talk about population level data that you can collect. But if you boil it down, if you save, even if you save one life, it was worth doing, right?
I mean, I think being a founder and a product designer, when our first incident occurred and we had the kit used to save the life of a 14-year-old girl at a school, we went through the seminar, both with compliance and just in general with like advertising standards, like, can we say we saved the life? And I think you never really know if anaphylaxis is going to be fatal. And then many times, thankfully, it is not. You also never really know if adrenaline has been the thing that saved their life. What you do know is it is pretty much the only intervention to use, and it is the recommended thing to do, and often has a positive outcome. So all we can say is that person says we saved their life, therefore we're going to go off that, and we're going to use that to fuel our ambition, our motivation to keep this going, because hell, if the reactions are going to happen, all we can do is hope that the kits are there to treat them. It's that simple.
Absolutely. Right, so I've been really geeky about allergies, but tell me about Dragon's Den. That's what we're all here for. How was that?
Nice, yeah. Well, what do you want to know?
How was the whole experience? Where are you up to now? So did you get investment?
Yes,
Absolutely.
we did. So we pitched like summer last year, and then we had to keep it quiet for about 8 months, which is very difficult. Obviously, like friends and family and our investors knew, but otherwise it was very quiet. And then we basically get told very last minute almost that the episode is 100% going to go on air.
Got you.
And at that point, we'd been working in the background, due diligence with Stephen Bartlett and Deborah Meaden, because they were the ones that we accepted the offer for in the show. But after that, what most people don't realize is you have to then actually do an investment deal with them.
I assumed. Yeah.
So yeah, the actual episode itself was
You mean they don't just hand you that cash that's on the table?
No, they do not.
There you go. Yeah.
and most of the deals that happen in the den don't come through. Because I mean, people lie, or the dragons, they actually uncover something else, or the relationship just doesn't pan through. But literally, the pitch for James, my co-founder, and I, it went phenomenally well in the den. We had such amazing buy-in from Deborah and Stephen. They were the exact dragons we wanted. We got £75,000 for 3.5% each, so 7% total. And the day after the den, we got messages from both Stephen and Deborah, and they were just like bought in. I think it aligned with both of them really well, because our kits are obviously health and well-being focused. It's young founders, passion led, hyper growth. I think we've doubled our business since the den already. And also, they're made in Wales out of recycled plastic. We're very sustainability driven. So it aligned with both of them really well. And from our point of view, they have amazing connections. They can have a huge impact on allergy awareness because of their profiles. And in general, huge business acumen and experience and advice. So from the day after the episode, it was all this conversation of building it up. When the episode aired, now a week and a half ago, it was just we had a whole screening. We had like 180 people in a cinema. With Stephen was there, friends, family, investors, everything. It was absolutely insane. We were getting inquiries just through the roof, like people on the website obviously reaching out to us for kits. We'd worked incredibly hard as a business, just 6 of us, to like prepare for the day and the episode airing. And then basically off the back of that, our partnership with St. John Ambulance, we utilized them, and they sent out an email to their entire customer base about us on Dragon's Den. Stephen posted on LinkedIn about us, Deborah posted on Instagram about us. And so, you have this one flash in the pan that's Dragon's Den, and it's like, how do we maximize this opportunity? And that's where aligning all the partners and their brands and their messaging was super important. And now our team has been on back-to-back calls and meetings for the last week and a half. Calendar's absolutely stacked next week. The people we're speaking to are like dream clients as well. So the goal is that these kits are every defibrillator's next door neighbor. Dragon's Den certainly had been an amazing opportunity to help reach that.
Yeah. Amazing. It's really exciting. It's really exciting. I'm pleased for you. And
thank you.
It's one of those, I'm not going to name any names, but you look around and some of the solutions that you see in an event like this, you're not entirely sure they're going to have the impact that you think. But this is a simpler offering in a way. You know what the problem is. This is a solution, or the best possible solution we have that science knows about at the moment, and it's how do we create access to that?
And it's seriously cost effective for organizations as well. Like, it's not an expensive opportunity, I guess, or service for a large organization to purchase these. Like, we get very excited when because schools, obviously any cost is a big ask, really. With these large organizations, they want to roll kits out across their offices or manufacturing facilities or stadiums. It's like a drop in the ocean for them.
Got you.
Potential impact they can have as well.
Is government legislation on the cards? Is that?
It's a future goal.
It's
certainly a future goal. It's just messy, complicated, and long, really. I think for us as a team right now, it's just utilizing the capacity that we have, utilizing the legislation that's available, working on the product that we currently have as well. It's like, that's why planes is like a future goal, because we have to say no to any opportunity that isn't available right now. And right now it is kits for schools and qualifying businesses as they are. And we'll see where it goes.
Well, I love it. Congrats on the success so far. Hope it goes from strength to strength. I'll tell my brother-in-law about it.
I need to get it in your wife's school as well.
Yes. There you go. He's trying to sell to me now, even on a podcast. No, I love it. Pleasure speaking to you. So where can people find you if they want? Maybe you don't want them to find you after last week. You got too many people contacting you.
Book in for next month. If you go to kittmedical.com, it's KITT medical.com. Kitt Medical on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, wherever you want to find us, we're there.
Perfect. And thanks for taking the time today.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.